my topic now is what coaches miss when coaching reading the game. Basically, how to slow the ball and the game down. As many of you guys can imagine, like, I think the pinnacle as a volleyball player and coach is the ability to make the ball go in slow motion. How many of you guys have ever done it as a player? Really? Okay. So I've been blessed. I've played at a very high level. I won a championship at UCLA. More recently, I wanted to go play for South Africa. And I just turned 40 this year. And I basically was trying to train. And like the ability to, when you get at that highest peak performance, is literally the ball comes in slow motion. I was, last summer, there was a day, I was down at the beach in Santa Monica playing. And this is like kind of the culmination of where this gets to. And I played two kids that were FIVB players. And they wanted to go play pro and play on the FIVB. So very, very high level players from Poland. And basically, I had coached all week. I'd done a camp out here on the East Coast. I flew back, I arrived at 12 o'clock. The next day we went and played, 8 a.m., Santa Monica Pier. And they served me every single ball for beach. And in the two matches we played, I missed one side out in each game. How crazy is that? Does that make sense? And literally when I was doing it, unless you know as a player, I was so in the zone that as I was doing this, the ball was coming like this. So this is my goal that I can try and teach you. Now, when I say this stuff, you know, this is not something everyone's going to be able to do. You know, this is very, very high level. This is the stuff that like gets me really excited. But it's not something everyone can do. However, kids are extremely smart. There was a camp out in Colorado. I've been with the kids now 2 years in a row where I've gone out and done the camp. And I was sitting at the dinner table that evening, and the coach's daughter was explaining to the coach how at 12 she was making the ball go in slow motion after 2 days of camp. So it can easily be done. Does that sound pretty cool? Okay, so anything else I want to talk about? Yeah, let's go from there. So for me, this all started about 6 years ago. Karch Kiraly had two really big changes on the game, okay? His biggest change more recently is the growth mindset and learning as a culture. But about 7 years ago, he wanted to be a coach. And he basically decided I'm going to become a coach. So he's like, okay, well, what made me great? So he wanted to review it, okay? So he started asking his coaches. He went to my coach, Al Skates at UCLA, and Al said, oh, Coach, it's very easy, it's obvious. And if any of you guys know Al Skates, he talks like this, and he's hilarious. And Al goes, you know, Coach, you're the only player I've ever let on my team play defense anywhere they want in the back row. Now think about that. Karch was so good at defense that he could play anywhere in the back row. What do you think he did that was so good? Reading. He was so good at reading, okay? Now, Karch, because of this, went out and did some research, and he basically worked with Ron Larson, Hugh McCutcheon, Tom Black, and Mary Weishoff, and they started reviewing all of these ideas and started coming up with some ideas around this. And about 6 years ago, he presented this information at the ABCA convention. Now, I've got the entire presentation recorded, so it's all on my website. So when you guys get membership, you guys can go in and watch this. And I watched this and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever. I've got Karch's secret. How many of you guys want Karch's secret to success? And I was like, I'm going to go be a great volleyball player. And I'm a pretty high level player, you know, I can play. And I'm sitting there and I go down to the beach and I'm like, okay. And he says, read, plan, do. Look for information-rich areas, okay? Read the header, plan your action, do the skill. And I'm like, this sounds great. And I'm like, wow. And ball nearly hits me in the face. I'm like, okay, start this game. Read, plan, do. Read, I see it. I'm looking at the right thing, plan, and miss it. I'm like, oh gosh. So I tried this for 2-3 months. I watched this video dozens of times. And I'm thinking, if I can't do this, how am I going to teach this to a bunch of kids? Agreed? So I went and researched, and there was this kid that I coached from 12 to 18 that played at Santa Barbara. His name's Brian Berman. He's like a little brother to me. And he had worked with this eye doctor. And now Brian is 6'1". He started at Santa Barbara at setter, opposite, outside, and libero. His senior year, George Paddock went down, and he was the starting opposite at 6'1", and he was the athlete of the year that year at Santa Barbara. Now think about that. At 6'1" nowadays in men's volleyball, that's pretty incredible. You guys with me? And I was like, duh, I need to talk to his guy, Bill Harrison. So I went out and I saw Bill. Now, if you guys don't know Bill Harrison is most probably the best eye doctor in the world for sports. He used to work with the Olympic team in the 80s. He worked with back people like, you guys know, Ari Schlesinger and Flo Hyman. Have you heard of those people? That's when he worked with USA Volleyball and he's like, but he couldn't make money with them. So he ended up going and doing stuff with baseball. Now, anyone big baseball fans here? One or two? Okay. He's worked with the best of the best. So like George Brett, Barry Bonds, Giambi's, like Mike Sweeney, like the who's who, and he's been doing research for 40 years around baseball. And he said something to me. He said, Ondor, Karch has got it wrong. I'm like, what? What do you mean? He's like, well, just because you see something doesn't mean you see it. Okay? You have to get meaning from what you see. So I'm like, okay, that sounds interesting. Okay. So we're going to do a quick little test here. Oh, I messed it up already. Oh, okay. So I'm going to show you guys some pictures, okay? Let's do it this way. This will be a little bit more fun. Can everyone see the pictures? Yes? Okay. So I want you guys to close your eyes. Okay? Now don't shout it out, okay? Open your eyes. Look at my hand. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Okay. How many fingers am I holding? Open, close. Let's shout it out. 4. Okay, let's try one more time. Close your eyes. How many fingers? 2. Okay, very, very good. Pretty easy, eh? It was pretty easy to get meaning from what you're seeing. Is that correct? Okay, so you do the same thing. Okay. First one you guys have got. Close your eyes. Open, close. Okay, we all know who this is. Unless you're... Justin Bieber. Okay, very, very good. And ask not to shout it out. Okay, very, very good. Okay, so I'm going to get the next picture. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Open. Close. Okay, anyone, if you put your hands up if you know who it is. Oh, really? Come on, you must know. You know you're acting cool now. I know you're in Pennsylvania. You don't have to prove anyone. You guys are the Steel Town. Okay, but this is obviously Miley Cyrus. Okay, now the next one I'm going to do, it's very, very important you don't shout it out. Is everyone clear? You're going to open up your eyes and then you're going to close it. Okay, we're all clear? Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Open, close. Okay, look at the screen. Open your eyes, close. Okay. Put up your hands. Okay, you can open up your eyes. How many of you guys actually knew what that was? Really? Wait, put your hands up. Put it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe. Okay. Now what's interesting is that picture that I just showed you, depending on where you're from, has a huge impact on what you see. We actually did this camp this past summer in South Dakota, and 80% of the kids immediately knew where it was. Whereas if I show that picture in California, no one knows where it is. In the cities at least. Does that make sense? So I'm going to close your eyes. Close your eyes. We're going to do one more version of the exact same picture. Open, close. Okay, who saw it? Okay, you guys got it again. Who didn't get it? Anyone new get it on the new picture? Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys the picture again. Close your eyes. Don't shout it out. Open and take a moment. And this is kind of like what it's like on a game of volleyball. You're sitting there, it's like, imagine your players are going up and the player's going like this. And they're looking at it, but they're not getting information. So just because the player's elbow's forward and the wrist is doing this doesn't mean that they're reading anything. And that's kind of what it was like for me playing with Karch. I'm like, information-rich areas, I'm a great player, I'm looking at this and I'm reading, but I'm getting no meaning. Okay, so you have to get meaning from what you see. Okay, everyone get it yet? Who still doesn't get it? Oh my gosh, eh? Wow. And this is rural Pennsylvania, a little bit kind of rural? Yeah, okay. How about now? Now this picture should be clear as daylight. And when I tell you what it is, what's going to be crazy is people that have seen this, Gail, you've seen this. Can you see anything else?
No, I can't see anything.
And Gail didn't see it the first time. And that's kind of like what it's like when we're playing volleyball. We have to teach our kids to get meaning from what they're seeing. Okay. Okay, does anyone want to shout out what it is?
Cow.
It's a cow. Okay. Now, when you look at this, who still can't see the cow? Isn't that amazing? Now look at that. Put your hands up. Be proud. Come on. Don't be embarrassed. Okay, so at least right now, 15 to 20% of you still can't see the cow. Okay, now look at this. That's the eye. That's the ear. That's the ear. Here's the face. And the nose. You guys all see it? Okay, now stop. Okay? What do you guys see? How can you not see a cow? What do you see? How can you not see a cow? And that's kind of what it's like. How many times have you sat there on the sideline, you're like, oh my gosh, I could have run onto the court and dug that goal that these kids couldn't see. Why can't they see it? Why can't they see it? They're not getting meaning. They're not getting meaning. So this was a huge breakthrough for me, and I was like, wait, if Karch is missing this, and Ron, and this is, there must be something else out there. There must be some other research. And there was. And this was also really important to me because of, remember I spoke earlier about the language of volleyball really matters. Okay, and the language is your culture. When I tell a kid, hey, did you read that? They can't understand the difference between looking at the right thing and getting meaning from it. So they're like, oh, I was reading it, I was looking at the right thing.